Have you ever wondered why a specific combination of musical notes can just, literally trigger a physical sensation of grief in your body?
Oh, yeah. Like when a subtle shift in rhythm suddenly makes your chest completely tight.
Exactly. Or conversely, makes you feel like you've just taken your very first full breath in years.
Right, because it's so visceral.
Yeah. So today, we aren't looking at a textbook and we aren't doing like a standard research summary for this deep dive.
No, we are basically forensically deconstructing a piece of art, which is always fun.
Super fun. It's just a fascinating process to pull back the layers of a song like this because music is, at its core, it's just a manipulation of human emotion through sound waves.
Right, it's physics meeting psychology.
Yeah. And the song we're putting under the microscope today is titled Blue Water, but we aren't just going to read the lyrics to you like some kind of poetry recital.
Definitely not.
The mission of this deep dive is to really explore how the raw underlying musical structure, so the specific deliberate chord progressions and those vast instrumental spaces underneath the words, how all of that creates a visceral roadmap for psychological transformation.
Yeah, we're unpacking how the song physically guides you, the listener, through this really intense journey of healing.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we even hear a single word from the singer, right? Before any narrative is even established, we have to talk about the canvas
The
itself.
water we're supposedly sailing into. Yeah.
Exactly. And that water is, it's immediately dark.
Oh, for sure. The entire foundation of this piece relies on a very specific, deeply moody harmonic language.
Yeah.
The progression is built heavily around D minor and G minor chords. And musically speaking, minor chords evoke introspection.
Introspection, melancholy, yeah.
Right, and sometimes just a very profound sorrow. But it isn't just like cultural conditioning that makes us feel sad when we hear those chords.
Wait, really?
Yeah, there's actually
Oh.
an acoustic reality to it.
Oh, I was so hoping we would get into the mechanics of that, because it isn't just magic, right? It's physics.
Right, exactly. So major chords, which usually sound happy or triumphant to us, they have these very simple, mathematically even frequency ratios.
Okay,
And our brains process those clean mathematical ratios basically effortlessly. It just translates as a feeling of resolution, safety.
got it. But minor chords are different.
Yeah, minor chords have slightly more complex frequency ratios, so the human auditory cortex actually has to work just a fraction of a millisecond harder to process them.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and that tiny bit of cognitive friction creates a subtle, subconscious feeling of tension, or like an unresolved longing in the nervous system.
That is wild.
Yeah.
But it perfectly explains the vibe, because the music is completely overcast before the lyrics even start.
Oh, totally.
You feel that tension right in your gut, and it makes you wonder, are we sailing into a storm, or are we running away from one?
Right, it's super ambiguous at first.
And then the artist throws in this incredibly jarring variation, because it isn't just standard minor chords the whole time.
No, not at all.
There is this moment where the progression hits a flat sixth chord, which I actually tried playing that specific note combination on a keyboard earlier.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And it physically feels different than the rest of the song.
Well, what's fascinating here is how that flat sixth operates as an emotional disruptor. Because a standard D minor is moody enough on its own, It's a sad, predictable space. But when you flatten that sixth note, you introduce genuine dissonance.
Like the notes are fighting each other.
Literally. The sound waves are physically clashing against each other. It creates this internal friction that the ear desperately wants to resolve.
Yeah, it feels incredibly unsettled. Like, the best analogy I can think of is that physical jolt you get when you're walking down a flight of stairs in the dark.
Oh, I hate that feeling.
Right. And you
Yeah.
think there's one more step, but you hit the floor early. Your stomach just drops.
That's a perfect analogy.
Or, I guess to stick with the song's theme, it feels like standing on a boat deck that suddenly pitches violently to the side.
Yeah.
You completely lose your balance.
That is exactly the sensation. You're unmoored. And the progression immediately follows up that dissonance by introducing an A major chord.
Right, the dominant chord.
Exactly. It acts as the dominant chord in this key, which creates this immense pulling tension that practically begs to be resolved back to the D minor root.
So it's just this cycle. Tension and release. Tension
Yeah.
and release.
Yeah. The music is literally breathing, mimicking the push and pull of heavy ocean waves.
It's just an incredibly effective way to set the stage,
Yeah,
because you are on unsteady footing from the very first second.
for sure.
And what makes that unsettled feeling so powerful is it's how long the artist forces you to sit in it.
Yeah, they don't rush it at all.
Not at all. The song doesn't just start with someone singing over those moody chords.
Yeah.
It opens with an extensively long instrumental intro. It demands that you sit in that dissonant, overcast atmosphere for quite a while before a single narrative word is even spoken.
It acts as an emotional airlock, basically.
Oh, I like that. An emotional airlock.
Yeah, it demands your patience. It's lowering your heart rate and kind of setting the ambient temperature of the room before introducing the mind of the narrator.
And then finally, out of that heavy musical fog, the vocals actually come in. The narrator tells us, and I'm quoting here, "The anchor weighed down the river free, through woven shade to the deep blue sea."
Right.
And then they follow that right up with, "Wind and sail beyond the tide, a gentle gale on the ocean wide."
The visual contrast that the lyrics paint against that dark music is really striking.
It really is.
Because we start in this incredibly claustrophobic imagery of the woven shade. I mean, think about what that implies for a moment.
Trees, land.
Yeah. Land, thick trees, heavy canopies, completely blocking out the sun, shadows everywhere, tangled roots holding the earth together.
It's constrained. It's a completely confined mental state.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you think about your own woven shade-like, the claustrophobic routines you get trapped in, or toxic environments, or even just the paralyzing comfort of the known.
Right, because a river is safe.
Exactly. It's safe because it has banks, but it is incredibly narrow. You can only go one direction.
Precisely. The shore represents this tangled, restricted past. But the physical act of the anchor being weighed, literally ripping the iron out of the heavy mud of the riverbed.
It's violent, kind of.
It is. It mirrors the active decision to tear oneself away from that tangled mental state. And suddenly the boat bursts out of the river and into the deep blue sea and the ocean wide.
So the claustrophobia breaks.
Yes, but the vulnerability begins.
Ooh, yeah. It's a massive escape, but as you said, it's an escape into a terrifying expanse. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, let's hear it.
Right after that realization of the wide ocean, we hit the chorus of the song. And structurally, the chords beneath the words completely shift.
They do, yeah.
The chorus leans entirely on a repetitive, heavy G minor chord sequence. It strips away the complex breathing progression of the verses we just talked about, and it just camps out on that one sinking note.
It's so repetitive.
Right. And the lyrics become incredibly sparse. The narrator just repeats, "Out in blue water. Out in deep blue water."
It submerges you.
Yeah.
By stripping away the chord variations, the music actually simulates the feeling of treading water in the middle of nowhere. There is no shore to look at anymore.
Nothing to grab onto.
Exactly. There's just the endless blue in every single direction.
Which brings up a huge question for me. Is blue just the literal color of the ocean here?
I don't think so.
Right? Or does it represent the emotional state like the blues that this narrator is diving directly into? Because it feels like they aren't running away from their sadness.
Oh, they're facing it head on.
Yeah. By escaping the woven shade and going out into the deep blue, they're sailing directly into the center of their own grief to confront it.
I think you're hitting on the core metaphor of the entire piece right there. Because water is a universal, ancient symbol for the subconscious.
Oh, sure.
It represents deep, unfathomable emotion. So to go out in deep blue water is to intentionally isolate oneself in the vastness of one's own melancholy.
Wow.
You can't be distracted by the daily grind of the woven shade anymore. You are totally surrounded by the feeling. You are floating in it.
And because they aren't distracted by the shore anymore, the narrator finally has to confront exactly why they sailed out here in the first place.
Right.
The lyrics reveal the underlying motive for this whole journey. And it turns out, this isn't just a recreational sailing trip.
Definitely not a vacation.
No. It is emotional triage. Because the narrator tells us, gonna weave through the wind, keep an even keel, let the sun soak in, let my sorrows heal.
Now, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the use of nautical terminology as a framework for psychology is just brilliant.
Oh, the even keel part.
Yeah, let's look at keep an even keel. In sailing, the keel is the heavy structural spine at the very bottom of the boat that stays underwater.
Okay.
Its entire job is to keep the vessel from capsizing. Keeping an even keel means maintaining your balance, basically keeping the boat upright despite the wind and the crashing waves above the surface.
Right, so psychologically, it's a metaphor for maintaining emotional stability while processing immense grief.
Exactly.
You have to keep that deep internal weight centered, or the sorrow will literally capsize your life.
Right, because when people experience profound trauma or loss, the instinct is often to either completely numb out or just let the storm destroy them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keeping an even keel is the active, exhausting work of staying emotionally buoyant.
I love that interpretation, but I actually want to push back just a little bit on the idea of just maintaining rigid balance.
Oh, how so?
Because the lyric right before it is going to weave through the wind.
Right.
And I think that completely changes the context.
Okay, I'm listening.
Well, you can't control the ocean.
Right.
Right. And you definitely can't control the wind. If you just lock your steering wheel, dead center, white knuckle the helm, and try to fight a storm head on, the boat breaks.
Right, the mast snaps.
Exactly.
That is a very astute point, actually. Rigidity in the face of nature is basically a death sentence for a sailor. You have to work with the elements, not against them.
Yes. You have to weave through it. It's an active, highly responsive process.
This requires flexibility.
Totally. For anyone listening to this who has been through something heavy, like a bad breakup or the loss of a loved one or a massive career failure, you know that true healing isn't fighting the elements of your grief.
No, it's not.
It isn't just gritting your teeth and standing perfectly still. Healing comes from the weaving.
Yeah, the active participation.
Right. It's knowing when to let the sail out, when to pull it in tightly, and when to just drop everything, let the sun soak in, and do absolutely nothing. The healing is in the navigation, not the conquering.
And that realization, the fact that you cannot conquer the ocean, but rather you have to surrender to its rhythms to navigate it, that requires a massive shedding of the ego.
Oh, huge.
The old version of you that thought it was in control just has to die, which perfectly sets up the most jarring and arguably the most beautiful structural shift in the entire song.
The void.
The void. Because healing takes an immense amount of time. It isn't instantaneous.
Right.
And the artist brilliantly uses structural emptiness here to force the listener to experience that agonizing, lonely passage of time.
Yeah, right after the narrator repeats that immersive Deep Blue Water chorus, the vocals they vanish completely.
Oh.
And the song drops into this massive, extended instrumental break. And we really need to emphasize how unusual this is.
It's completely non-standard.
Yeah. In standard commercial songwriting, an instrumental break is usually just a bridge. It's like 15, maybe 20 seconds long.
A quick guitar solo.
Right. A little guitar solo, a drum fill, and boom, we are right back to the catchy chorus. But here, the artist dedicates 4 entire structural blocks to this.
A massive chunk of the song's total runtime.
Purely instrumental music. It is a wildly deliberate choice that completely defies normal pacing.
It is a profound structural decision that perfectly aligns form with function.
Form with function, exactly.
By stripping away the human voice, the song simulates sensory deprivation. It actually mimics the vast, lonely expanse of the open ocean.
Yeah.
It forces you to sit with those moody, dissonant minor chords we talked about earlier. But now, you don't have the narrator's lyrics to guide your thoughts.
You're completely adrift.
You are left entirely alone with the music.
It totally simulates isolation. I mean, it makes you feel the days and the nights blending together on a boat with no land in sight.
Exactly. And there is a distinct difference between loneliness and solitude.
Oh, that's a great point.
Loneliness is the pain of being alone. Solitude is the glory of being alone. And this instrumental void is the crucible of solitude.
Wow. Crucible of solitude.
Yeah, because in modern society, we rarely experience true silence or a lack of distraction. We are always consuming input.
Endlessly scrolling.
Yeah, exactly. So this void acts as a necessary sensory deprivation tank, forcing the narrator and the listener to look completely inward.
It's beautiful, but as a listener, it's highly disorienting.
Oh, very.
You're just drifting through these minor chords, losing your sense of time entirely. And then finally, the voice breaks through the silence again.
Yeah, after all that time.
And the lyrics perfectly capture that exact disorientation you were feeling. The narrator says, "Got a compass on hand, but I'm sailing blind miles from land, the world behind."
Sailing blind.
Yeah, so what does this all mean? It's a paradox, right? Why have a compass if you are sailing blind?
Well, it's the ultimate contradiction of the healing process. A compass provides objective truth. It always points north.
Sure.
But out in the middle of this psychological ocean, objective direction just loses its meaning.
Because there is nowhere to go.
Exactly.
I really don't think the narrator is physically lost, like they've just misplaced their map. I think they are willfully, intentionally letting go of their past direction.
That's interesting.
Think about it. If you're trying to heal, the compass that guided your old life, the life back in the restricted woven shade, isn't going to help you out here.
No, it won't.
That compass literally points back to the trauma.
That is a wonderful way to frame it. You are sailing blind because you are heading into a version of yourself that simply doesn't exist yet.
Yes.
There are no coordinates for the person you are becoming. Leaving the world behind is the absolute prerequisite for the psychological breakthrough that is about to happen.
You literally have to lose sight of the shore to discover new oceans.
Precisely.
And that purposeful disorientation, that willingness to sit in the instrumental void and sail blind, is what leads directly to the song's climax.
The breakthrough.
Right. It leads to a profound psychological breakthrough and a complete renewal of the self. But it only happens because they put the time in.
Yeah, the time in the void was necessary.
The lyrics explicitly acknowledge how long they've been drifting. The narrator sings, "Been way out here for a week and a day. Now my mind is clear. Yay, I'm thinking I'll stay."
Thinking I'll stay. This raises an important question. Is staying a literal choice, or is it a state of mind?
Oh, that is such a fascinating pivot. Because they went out to heal, right?
Right.
And usually when you do triage, the implied goal is to fix the wound and eventually come back to land, come back to normal life.
It's the typical narrative, yeah.
But the healing changed them so much that the open ocean actually became their new home.
It represents a complete paradigm shift. They haven't necessarily become a permanent, literal sailor who never steps on dirt again.
No, probably not.
Rather, they've realized that this clarity, this total detachment from the tangled, woven shade of their past, is a mental space they never want to leave.
They found peace in the instability.
Exactly. And that realization culminates in the final lyrical verse of the song, where the imagery completely flicks from dark to light.
Oh, the final verse is incredible. The narrator sings, "Got a jammin' jib, smooth waves roll, feel like a babe in a crib with a brand new soul."
It is a metaphor of total rebirth.
Brand new soul, yeah.
Notice how the environment has completely shifted from the unsettled tension of the beginning? The waves aren't pitching the boat anymore.
And now there's smooth waves.
Right. And the boat itself, pitching gently on the ocean, literally becomes a cradle. A babe in a crib.
That's so peaceful.
The sorrow they carried out onto the water, that heavy D minor grief we started with, has been successfully transformed into a brand new soul. The emotional triage worked. The void did its job.
I am just continually struck by the incredible juxtaposition in those final lines, like, got a jammin' jib.
Yeah, what a phrase.
A jab, for anyone listening who doesn't sail, is the smaller sail at the very front of the boat, the one that catches the crosswinds and violently pulls you forward.
Right.
So jam and jab is upbeat, it's rhythmic, it's almost like a playful piece of sailing slang.
It's super casual, but the artist pairs it immediately with the massive spiritual weight of having a brand new soul. It's so triumphant, but in such a casual, lived-in way.
It is the sound of someone who has finally found their even keel.
Yeah.
They are no longer fighting the minor chords of their life. They are riding them. They are using the wind that used to terrify them to propel themselves forward.
It really makes you evaluate your own life. You know?
Absolutely.
I want to challenge you, the listener, to think about your own deep blue water. When the shade gets too tangled, when the claustrophobia of daily routines and, unresolved sorrow just built up in your chest, where do you go?
That's the real question.
What is the environment or the practice or the physical space that forces you to sit in the void until your mind actually clears? Where do you go to hit the reset button on your soul?
It's a vital question to ask yourself. Because as this song so beautifully demonstrates, you cannot find that brand new soul in the safe, shallow waters of the river.
You just can't.
You have to weigh the anchor, you have to risk the dissonance of the open water. So to recap this incredible journey, Blue Water isn't just a catchy song about a boat.
Not at all.
It is an architectural marvel of emotion. It uses introspective minor chords and jarring dissonance to basically create a moody, unsettled canvas in your own body.
A physical sensation of grief.
Yes. It uses brilliant nautical metaphors like keeping an even keel and actively weaving through the wind to map out the nonlinear process of navigating that grief.
Very true.
And perhaps most brilliantly, it uses vast, empty instrumental spaces to physically simulate the isolation, the solitude, and the agonizing time required to transition from sorrow to absolute clarity.
It truly is a masterclass in aligning musical structure with lyrical narrative.
Yeah.
The form of the song perfectly matches the psychological function.
It really, really does. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I actually want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over on your own time.
Oh, I love these.
Something that builds on everything we've just explored here. If you listen to the very end of the song, right after the narrator joyfully announces they have a brand new soul, the lyrics just stop. But the song doesn't.
That's right. The song doesn't end on a clean, resolved vocal note.
No.
It closes with an incredibly extensive instrumental fade-out.
Yes. Exactly how the middle of the song was structured. It goes back into this long, wordless drift, which really begs the question, why end on a fade-out?
Right.
We established earlier that the instrumental void was the crucible for healing. It was the surgery. But now the healing is done.
The surgery was successful.
Exactly. The soul is brand new, so why go back into the wordless void?
Well, because the story of a life doesn't end just because one wound is healed.
Wow.
It suggests a continuation.
Exactly. Perhaps it suggests that once you achieve that brand new soul, the journey doesn't actually end. Healing isn't a final destination where you just drop your anchor, pat yourself on the back, and stop moving forever.
No, the ocean is still there.
The lyrics stop. Because the old story, the story of the woven shade and that heavy sorrow, that story is finally finished. But the sailing continues.
Yeah, it keeps going.
The music keeps pushing forward, fading slowly over the horizon. It asks you, once you do the hard work of healing, once you finally clear your mind and find your balance, what new, completely uncharted waters will you sail into next?
It's a beautiful thought to end on.
We started this deep dive talking about how navigating the human mind isn't like following a precise map. It's a murky, unpredictable landscape. But maybe that's the ultimate beauty of it. When the map is blank, you get to draw the next chord to yourself.